ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week. Good friend and colleague, Mr. Mathew George, making his 2026 debut live from New York City, the Mecca, where my Yukon Huskies lost on Friday night to the Johnnies. Had won 18 in a row, of course, but we needed that loss. But we'll be back there for the Big East Championship, of course. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. Travis, Zach, Guy, myself, Amber, Holly, Carol, Bucks, Matthew, Alan, Jacob, Drew. The team's invincible. Download the app. Head on over to X. Go follow WagerWire. I promise you, the best community on planet X. AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Terry Smith has done wonders. Steak, seafood, chops, appetizers, wine. He's got it all. Introduce yourself to him on Facebook, Terry Smith. Then come on back to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Place an order today. You could be grilling as early as Friday. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Mathew George. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. How are we doing?
Good. Welcome back. A lot to talk about, especially in the Big Apple itself. Pitches and catches report. And look at your Yankee temperature report there. The Knicks battling the Celtics right now for supremacy in the Atlantic Division. Both looking up at the Pistons there. Jason Tatum in Maine. For the G League, getting some practice in there. Curious about your thoughts there, of course. NBA All-Star break. We'll get to what you've seen in the first half, what you expect in the second half. WNBA. Will there be a WNBA? And much more. So let's start in the NBA. It's All-Star weekend. Your Knicks right there with the Celtics. Big dreams, big aspirations this year for your Knicks. Give us your thought, what you've seen so far from the Knicks.
I mean, they've been, I would say, exceeding expectations so far because they didn't do crazy in the offseason, and what they're doing now with the core that they have of Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Miles Bridges, OG Anunoby, those guys are making the efforts of winning games and winning games now. So Mike Brown has done a great job so far with this team. The team has been great on defense, and not to mention Mitchell Robertson is actually back and actually doing some damage on the offensive board. So he's staying healthy for the most part, and this team is actually making the right direction for the championship. Although there are two teams in the way, like you mentioned, that are in contention for the championship this season, in my opinion. So it's going to be very interesting to say the least. But for right now, the Knicks are doing very well so far.
Surprised. I mean, the expectations were no Tatum, no problem here. With the makeup of the Atlantic East. I mean, the East. No Tyler Halliburton for the Pacers. I mean, this was set up, I assume, to be. I don't want to say a cakewalk, but you guys were the prohibited favorites here, weren't you?
Yeah, and I think that the whole transition of of how players are developing themselves, it really shows. And now how these teams and these teams in the East that are in contention now, they're really ramping it up, especially Detroit, because Detroit were one of the teams of like, okay, can we really expect them to make some kind of a run like how they did last year? No, they're making a lot better. They've made a lot better strides, and now they are obviously, as we see now, the top team in in the East right now. So it's honestly shocking to me, but it's also very interesting. Very interesting of how their players are developing and how what they did in the trade deadline, and also now how they're going to try to get themselves going forward for the rest of the season. The same thing goes with the Celtics, because the Celtics have just been, like we said, mentioned before, it wasn't really that much of an expectation for them because of, as you mentioned, with Jason Tatum. But I mean, Jalen Brown looks like a freaking MVP type of caliber player, and then this whole roster is really meshing together with Peyton Pritchard, even guys off the bench like Jordan Walsh, like the end of the bench. Like these guys are making impacts in one way or another, and it's showing and showing in the records right now. So very high expectation now coming into the All Star break with the Celtics going forward.
Anyone else give you the willies? I mean, I've been a big Orlando fan. They're still away. Uh, um, 76ers, I think, will be the 76ers. Obviously, the Celtics, will Tatum come back? My personal 2 cents, he shouldn't. The team has done
Mm.
fine without him. This was supposed to be a bridge year. Don't rush it and then get injured again and be out another year. Thoughts on all that moving forward?
So the Jason Tatum one, I do agree. Don't rush him because you want these guys to come back healthy, especially coming off of ACL tears. They're obviously not doing it with the Indiana Pacers with Tyler Halliburton, but they're obviously in a different situation. As much as they should be competing for a title, and it's very surprising the stage that they're in right now with the Celtics, don't have to rush him in terms of the fact that the way they are right now. They are winning games. They do not need to, ante up everything with Jason Tatum. So no need to do that as well. I agree. The one team that's really giving everyone should be watching is the San Antonio Spurs, barring in mind that Victor Wembanyama stays healthy throughout the entire year. That's the biggest question, because obviously with 7 footers, as we know, guys can't stay healthy for the life of them. Like for example with Kristaps Porzingis, now he's on the Warriors. So the biggest one for them is their young team. They have all these young players, and they're developing very rapidly. Stefan Castle doing absolutely amazing. Uh same thing with Vassell and Branham and Keldon Johnson. But the biggest factor is that if Victor Wembanyama can stay healthy throughout the entire season, look out OKC, because they took I believe 3 out of the 4 games so far this season against OKC, and they're the legit threat in the Western Conference. That's the biggest one for me.
I said to a few people the other day, if you can, next year's NBA Finals will be the Pistons and the Spurs. I think they're both 1 year away. I think I give them some time to simmer. It used to be back in the day, Matthew, it took levels. So Michael had to take a year or two to finally beat the Celtics to become the Bulls. The
Mhm.
Pistons did the same thing. You see these teams get close, OKC, lose, and then win. And I think both the Spurs and the Pistons will have nice runs this year. They get a good taste of a couple rounds, but watch out next year. NBA trade deadline come and gone. You highlighted a few movers there. Jaren Jackson to the Jazz. By the way, Danny Ainge, shame on you. I tell you, let's be realistic here. He'd been tanking 3 years to get Cooper Flag, and the NBA said not so fast. After that Anthony Davis trade, and trading Luka, we're going to get you a star. Cooper Flag, 19 years old. Oh my God, he's going to be the face real soon. There, Anthony Davis to the Wizards, Harden to the Cavs, a team that you think of defense, and then they bring in the worst guy in the NBA to play defense, James Harden. But the Celtics get Vuk. What'd you think overall of the trade deadline?
So it was very underwhelming. I thought there were going to be a lot more moves going into the trade deadline. Obviously, the biggest two names was Giannis Antetokounmpo and John Moran, and both of them did not get traded. So both of them are staying with their respective teams, which makes no sense at all. And I don't know what the direction that team is going, especially the Grizzlies, because they got rid of Jaren Jackson Jr., which was the right idea. To the Jazz doesn't make any sense though, because you're basically getting like bench players and some second round picks. Where's that going? I don't understand that either. But Jaren Jackson Jr., especially going to the Jazz, I think what they're trying to do is make a big lineup. So obviously Walker Kessler is out for the rest of the season, so he's filling that so basically Jaren Jackson Jr. is filling that role for him as of now. You're putting him with Nurkic, Lauri Markkanen, and Yusuf Nurkic, and when Walker Kessler comes back. Somebody needs to get moved at the end of the season, towards the off season, or are they really to stick with this lineup? I don't know. I don't think it's the best idea, but they do have but this team is very young, and it's actually going forward. There's some good expectations going into the off season for the Jazz. So make note of the Jazz going forward, especially since they might get a young asset going forward with either Angel DeBanza, Darren Peterson, or Cameron Bruiser. But we'll talk about that later on. The Anthony Davis trade. Who the heck knows what the Wizards are going to do with the rest of the season, because Trae Young is not playing. They also shut down Anthony Davis for the rest of the season with his knee injury. So whatever happens with him, he's injury prone. The same thing with Trae Young. The franchise as a whole has been such a mess since Bradley Beal and John Wall. Even then, still they were in such a middle of the pack anyway. So we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, the Dallas Mavericks are in the right direction. It does suck to see that they couldn't figure out a way for Cooper Flag, AD, and Kyrie Irving to play. There was no real high expectation of them actually playing with each other, because obviously Kyrie Irving is still dealing with that ACL tear. So there's some good direction going forward with Cooper Flag, because he's definitely obviously the rookie of the year. VJ Edgecombe's been taking it down a notch a little lately. So there's some big expectations hopefully going forward for the Dallas Mavericks. The James Harden trade didn't make any sense, because you're trading basically a 1-for-1 guy, and the guy's older. So I understand the experience and the IQ of James Harden at times, but also he is the all-time leader in all-time leader in turnovers in a single season. He's done that once before. And also the guy doesn't shoot well as he used to. So I think the way that the Cavs are trying to supplement this is that we have this guy who has a lot of experience, especially in the playoffs. The guy can dish out the ball, but now it's a matter of, can he really do that for the Cavs in the playoffs? They're surprisingly 13-1, along with the Boston Celtics, to win the championship. So it's not bad odds. Obviously, with OKC being 120, I believe yesterday when I was looking at it, it was plus 125. But the Cavs can still be in contention for a championship. Last thing for the Bulls, the they definitely needed to blow it up. They were just taking way too long. They got rid of Kobe White. They got rid of Vucevic. They needed to do that. That is a great acquisition from the Celtics. I think that he's a basically uh, okay. I wouldn't say he was I don't think, in your opinion, I don't think he's a better version of Al Horford, but I think that Vucevic can definitely bring a lot of defense, a lot of rebounding, and he also could stretch the floor just like how Horford does. So I wanted to get your take on that really quick. But then obviously the Bulls making all these moves for Jaden Ivey, for you know all these young players like Rob Dillingham. They basically needed to start over. Having a bunch of these guards doesn't make any sense though. But at the end of the day, they need to move down that direction of rebuilding, and that's what they're doing now. So thank goodness that they're actually starting to make that kind of move.
Yeah, I mean, Cater's not going to take the Celtics to the promised land, so the addition of Vuk does help. You go back to last year, Porzingis, you go Drew Holiday, Al Horford, and listen, new owners. And they weren't in the first cut of the tax; they were in the
Hmm.
second cut. So without Tatum, the plan was get us below to the first line, and then what Brad Stevens has done is just simply genius. He didn't just get him to the first line; he got him under the first line. So the
Under.
owner's
Mhm.
sitting there doing cartwheels. Listen, again, I'm not rushing Tatum back. I'm having him sit out the full year. Win a round, maybe try to sneak into and win a second round. I think the team's too inconsistent. Watched them the other night, Sunday against your Knicks, 7 for 41 from three. But Missoula's model is keep shooting, keep shooting. Sooner or later they're going to
Hmm.
come in. If he had that button and saw at halftime that they were shooting, 15%. The other night, what was it? I think it was on Friday against the Heat. They started 1 for 20, but
Yeah.
then they did kick it into overdrive. Again, not high expectations here. Win around, keep Jason on the sideline, get ready for next year for me there.
Okay.
Got to talk for a quick second because you and I do a lot of work. WNBA. Listen, I'm a big Page fan. Number one pick. I got to ask you this right away. If there is a WNBA this year, if there is a draft, do they pair up the two? Do they go Beckers and AZ Fudd?
As a fan, I would love. As a fan, it would be awesome. But just to talk about logistically, it wouldn't make any sense of having them both together because you're basically pairing the same thing with Arika Wunawale, and that didn't really pan out with the Dallas Wings this past season. So and she was I mean, granted, these two players are a little bit different, and Az Fudd is, if I'm not mistaken, the best shooter in college basketball right now at like 54%. So it really depends on how the direction of the Dallas Wings want to take it. At the end of the day, they need defense because they were one of the worst defenses in the WNBA. As much as they need the scoring, I mean, obviously they need everything, but the defense really does matter at the end of the day, and I think that's what they need more. If they can get somebody from the draft that can be that defensive stopper, that they will be it'll be a better team. But at the end of the day, it would be nice for them to pair Basie Flood and Paige Beckers. I just don't see it happening though.
Well, let me ask you from an owner's perspective or a GM. This would be an all-time first, and
Mhm.
the way I understand it, that they're partners. They've been since years ago.
Yeah.
What happens if there was ever a breakup? Whatever happens, that would be a little leery.
Mhm.
Not from a talent standpoint, because I think those two. I think it would be an amazing story. I really,
Yes.
really do. My love affair for UConn here. What a story this would be. But with that in the back of your mind, Lee, like, hey, if these two were battling outside the hard court, and then there was a massive, it would almost, the friction would be too much to try to then get on the court and play.
Exactly. So you gotta really understand the risk of like how this goes, and obviously with these kind of relationships in the WNBA, we've seen it too. There's some players in the WNBA that are playing with or against each other. So it really goes to show that first of all, the WNBA, as we know, the same thing with the NBA, and every single other sport is a business. But at the end of the day, you also want to understand that you want to protect yourself. So there's a fine line between if you want to exceed, you want to see yourself succeed, or see yourself just be, living your life as well. Because like at the end of the day, you are human. You understand that like things happen, and that everything happens for a reason. So you have to, the organizations just like the Dallas Wings, they need to understand how, mentally, that you're bringing in if you want to bring easy fun, you're bringing in these, I wouldn't say risk, but I would say these expectations of, yeah, she's a phenomenal player, she does have this relationship with Paige Beckers, and at the end of the day, do you really want to push this forward of, branding them, or actually just letting these players live, and actually just, being themselves, and also being the best players that they can be. It's very tough fine line.
Will there be a season this year?
If they get some kind of agreement, yes. But I mean, it's been so many. There's been so many controversies with the CBA. There's been no agreement. It's just been a mixed bag of nuts between them and the WNBPA, excuse me. And I think that obviously they want to get paid. They want to earn what they've been putting up on the floor, and not just be just like a full time like 9 to 5 job, because that's almost basically their salary. Their salary is almost similar to a person making like an engineer or something like that, of like a on it, and they're under contract too, and their minimum is like around like 70,000 per year, and it's way less compared to the NBA, because obviously this it's different. But the way the WNBA's been hanging around, it's great, but at the end of the day, I just don't know. I just don't understand like how they can't come to an agreement at this point. They want to be paid. They're getting their endorsement deals are getting a lot more. They're getting paid million, like for example, like Paige Beckers and all these Caitlin Clark. They're getting a lot more money in the endorsement deals than they're getting in the freaking NBA WNBA contract. So at the end of the day, kind of pay them. Just kind of pay them. But it's a very tough fine line, because the WNBA wants to be entertaining. You only could do so much with that, with just Caitlin Clark, and then everybody else, and then Paige Beckers as well. But there's a fine line between just trying to just being a good league, but also just trying to be entertaining. Somebody's got to step up at this point.
In the intro, I talked about, and I talked to you. I said, "Man, you better make sure your butt's at the Madison Square Garden Friday." St. John's and UConn. Rick Pitino and the Johnnies stopped the UConn 18-game winning streak. I talked to a lot of people. It was a good spot for the Johnnies. The UConn needed to lose a game, and I'm just telling everyone that's watching and listening here. UConn's got another gear, a gear that you guys saw for 2 years straight. 6 wins in the tournament by double digits, covering every game. They have that gear, and I think they're stuck on stupid right now. And again, they played with their food last night at Butler, and they ended up turning it on when they had to. But Johnny's, I called them out early December, and I called them out, and I got a little chastised, Matthew, for the fact that I was smelling some stuff. My spidey senses were up. The lines, the totals. I'm like, Rick, you talking to Federal Hill here in Rhode Island? What's going on? Because I know what you have on paper, and I know what you're supposed to be doing. Since that, I think they've won 10 in a row, or had won 9 in a row. He must have seen the tweet. He's like, Mr. Dawson, we'll take care of it from here. Thoughts on the Johnnies? Big win. For real, right?
Yeah, it's a big upset. And I mean, they played great defense, and Rick Pitino stresses it every single time he goes to and whether it's whether it's St. John's, Iona, or even back in his Louisville days and Kentucky days. Stressing defense is the number one importance, and that's what he did against UConn. And the shooting wasn't great, but at least they were attacking the paint at will. And obviously, the biggest reason, and he's a leading scorer, obviously, is UBF Jafort. So, the guy has been stepping up every single time. In big spots, especially in this game especially in that game against UConn, and it's gonna be very interesting. Although they were at the top of the list. They were top five, if I believe, going in AP poll before the season started. So they had some high expectations. They're still expected to make it to the NCAA tournament, of course. But now it's just a matter of, can they really make a run? And it's been stuck on this kind of back and forth trend of like, okay, Johnnies are good, but like, where are they gonna go? Where are they going? Are they really gonna make the Final Four? Rick Pitino stressed it. I mean, it's a very I wouldn't say stupid, but just a very, very up there expectation with Iona. He expected Iona to make the Final Four. I don't know. That was a very hot take. As much as he did win the conference championship a couple of times, but trying to win with this program is very tough nowadays. And now with the NIL, I mean, it's even tougher. So this team has some good expectations going forward. Now, I'll say quickly about UConn. There's been back and forth. There's been such a back and forth, especially lately with the team. But at least that this expectation is that they are good enough to play. They're good enough to play. They are good enough to win a championship. Now it's just a matter of the team can mesh together, especially with the biggest guy on the floor in terms of point production in Alex Caravan. The guy's been there for like literally generations, and we can still say he is one of the best shooters in college basketball. Now it's just a matter of like, can Solo Ball step up? Can the other guys step up off the bench? This team needs to figure it out, especially since teams like Arizona, teams up and coming that are not even mentioned in Miami of Ohio, who is the only remaining team that is undefeated. Now, again, that they haven't fully been battle tested, but they're the remaining undefeated team in college basketball right now in terms of men's. So there is some big expectations, especially for the top five teams ranked in the AP poll, that including UConn right now.
Um, the couple Achilles heels for UConn, free throw shooting, for one. Number two, they're missing a King Kong Klingon. They're missing a Sonogo. They're missing that one piece. Now, listen, as you brought up, Solo Ball. Caravan, again, last year we were waiting for him to step up. He had a poor end of the season. He decided to come back. Still too inconsistent for me. They got Mr. Indiana with Mullins, who's a sniper. Demery. They have the pieces. Taris Reed, when he doesn't get into foul trouble. If they take it to the next level, in my eyes right now, where they are today, they're a second week team. They get to the Sweet 16? Do they get to the Elite Eight? Do they get to the Final Four? If they take it to that next level, kind of start playing ball like Florida is right now, the defending champs, then I'll say, okay, I see it now. Because at the top of the heap again, you got to beat Arizona. But we know their woes come tourney time. But the team to beat is Arizona. Michigan at Northwestern, chewing its food, come all the way back. They're elite there. Of course, Duke will be. Florida's hot. There's a lot of teams. I'm not saying this year's up for grabs. I'd say there's probably, realistically, Matthew, 6 to 8 teams in my eyes that could win it this year.
Hmm. It's still a lot of and I mean, granted, and what you mentioned there, that is still a lot of teams, because you think about the top five, and you think about like the top five, and I'm just reading it now: Arizona, Michigan, Houston, Duke, Iowa State, and UConn. I mean, those teams are legit. Any one of them could be legit contenders for the title this year. Biggest one for me is going to be Duke, because if you're thinking about the Boozer brothers, I mean, goodness gracious, these guys can do whatever they want on the floor, especially Cam Boozer, and they can light it up like it's no, but like it's nothing. So there is some high expectations for Duke going forward, and especially for and especially for the NCAA tournament. Obviously, I expect my expectation is for them to make the Final Four and also make it to the championship game. Depending on who they play, they could be in contention. They could be winning the title. There's some wishy washy about Michigan that I can't really think of at the moment, because I think they're a top legit contending team. It's just a matter of I think Dusty Mann has run a very very good job as well. Now it's just a matter of can they really actually take that next level, because the Michigan as a whole has been all over the place, especially when Jawan Howard was still there. When there was a really high expectations for this team, and now they're really stepping it up. So because obviously this is the second ranked team in the country, so this is going to be very interesting too. Um, I would say the one team to look out for is Michigan State, and Michigan State has one player in particular, and that is Jeremiah Fears' brother and Jeremy Fears. Don't get the confused. It's Jeremy Fears. The guy has been an absolute stud for the team, and he has been stepping up. He's been stepping up, both passing and scoring the ball. Not to mention, I think, but he had 26 points and 15 assists in his last game. So the guy's ditching the ball like crazy. He's probably one of the better guards in the country that no one's been talking about, and I think there's some good expectations for the Spartans going forward.
Well, it's going to be exciting times. You and I will be here every Thursday at 11 a.m. Set your calendars, turn your notifications on. StreamYard seems to be having problems again today with their connection to Twitter Live, so shame on them. I'll get to the bottom of that. Before we close, pitchers and catchers have reported your Yankees. Bring back Bellinger, add Goldschmidt. There was some talks of some big moves here. Again, you're going to get Garrett Cole back at some point. Maybe Rodon misses the first month there. High expectations on Schittler. Give us the temperature and your feelings for the initial start of your New York Yankees.
We obviously thinking about the way that this team is being meshing together. They did make some good moves. They got a good starting pitcher. So uh, the only thing I wouldn't, in my opinion, I don't think we should have given that money to Cody Bellinger, as much as had a really good season last year offensively with 35 plus home runs. They- We're gonna talk about this every year. Are they really a good contender to make a run for the World Series? I mean, it's at the end of the day, I don't think so. There still needs to a lot to be done, and everybody needs to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. There, every time we think about it, we think about them making the playoffs. They're making every single run to try to make that next step into making the World Series. But then every time we do that, we get either the team gets injured, or we're not exceeding expectations. It's either we hit the home runs or we just keep striking out, and that's been the Yankees the Yankees standpoint every single year. So biggest thing is for Garrett Cole to stay healthy throughout the entire year. Be that Cy Young pitcher that he is. Aaron Judge does what Aaron Judge does, and then let the bats come through. Is there a chance that this team can make that kind of run? I'm still on the fence a little bit, because The defense has just not been great, especially with the past 2 years, especially a couple of years. Especially Anthony Volpe, these guys just trying to just make some step ups. We need to see some kind of big, either a big move before the trade deadline or some kind of big step up from somebody. And it's got to be either Cody Bellinger, because we give obviously giving them kind of money, and obviously the big 1-2 punch of shit. I mean, Schitzel's been really good. He's very efficient as well when he needs to. But at the end of the day, the pitching needs to step up, and obviously with Garrett Cole being in that mix, that's got to be the number one focus going into the season.
Well, the AL East and the NL East will be the two toughest divisions on paper. You got the defending World Series and AL champs Toronto making moves, but a lot of injuries there.
Can I stop you there for a second? What is your opinion about a Pete Alonso going to Baltimore?
Truth, great signing, and I was going to say the Orioles offense is not going to be their problem this year. It's their starting staff and what they do yesterday. They added Chris Bassett. They have a Bradish. They have a Rogers. Their back end is filthy. They added Helsley. The Orioles are right there with the Red Sox, with the Yankees, and the Jays, and the Rays are far behind. So the AL East will be must-watch TV. And the Mets, here's the problem with the Mets. And as a business owner, as a GM, the writing was on the wall when 2 years ago he wanted the extension, and I'll bet on myself. And then he turns down $160 million the second year. I'll bet on myself. And you let him walk, and he, congrats to him. And he got paid, I think it's $210 million. It will be now the eventual. So again, big acquisition. He's going to have a blast at Camden Yards. There were talks. Pete Alonso at Fenway Park and that Green Monster would have been a fun take as well. But our GM just adds these little pieces in the infield. We did add Ranger Suarez. We did add Sonny Gray to help Crochet. The AL East is going to be absolutely must-watch TV, sir.
Absolutely, and I agree. That's going to be the biggest. I think this is going to be the biggest year for the AL East. I don't think any team is going to be under 500. I'll tell you that much.
No, it's going to be fun. They're going to beat each other up. They're going to have some fun here. Detroit now with the 1-2 punch of I was going to say Verlander. They did. They just brought back.
Yes, they did get Verlander. Yes, that's correct.
That's why I had on my brain Skubal and Framber Valdez, and then out west it's Seattle in a cloud of dust. Texas has added some pitching help, but offensively could be challenged. But anyways, great start here. As we always wrap up this segment, tell everyone where they can find all your work. I know you do Sports Grid, you do Sirius. You're a busy man, sir.
Thank you. Again, check me out on X at MG28 Sports. If you guys want to check out from today's show, recap everything that we did today, and then Coach James Young. If you follow him at Coach Young NJ, you follow him. He does a podcast twice a week, one with pro basketball, then one with college basketball. We record Monday for pro basketball and Wednesday for college basketball. So those will be out the next day after recording. And we recap everything like how Jeff and I did with the college basketball season and then the trade deadline. So everything that has been up and coming throughout the entire season, we either recap or break down in its extent. Obviously, with the season going forward, we have the All-Star break and obviously the NCAA tournament with March Madness coming up soon for both those respective leagues, and we'll see what happens with the WNBA if they even have a season. And then throughout the week, so hopefully we'll see sports Grid throughout the entire week. Tune in on X for them as well throughout different shows. We got Dan Cilio, we got guys like guys like Craig Mish and all these guys stepping up throughout the entire year. So be tuned in. It's gonna be a lot of fun throughout the entire sports year, and not to mention the Olympics is still going on.
That's right. Turn on the Olympics right now as we speak. So again, set the calendar, turn on the notifications every Thursday, 10 a.m. Mathew George is back, and we're super stoked and excited. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, EDC Sports Investor, the one and only Mr. Mathew George, please, everyone, have a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves. 1 o'clock, Matt Grissom. NCAA Insiders opening day for college baseball. Yeah, I know it's 31 degrees back east here. So get your sunflower seeds, your scorecard, and tune in at 1 o'clock and stay tuned.